Andy! Help! That was pretty good. Oh my god. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Well, we finally made it for our annual trip to Universal Studios Orlando Halloween Horror Nights. And we're going to cover and share a little bit of everything from our very long night as we attempted to do the stay and scream option, but due to extreme traffic and the massive amounts of people attending that night, we were simply fortunate enough to be able to rope drop for the opening scaremonies, and we ended up staying until after 2 a.m. and pounded through everything that we could. It's also important to mention that we were there with 7 teenagers. Yes, 7. Ages 16 through 18. So that definitely added to our adventures and hilarity through the night. With such a big group and no express passes and massive crowds, we were still able to get through 8 out of 10 of these amazing haunted houses, and we're going to give a full review of all of those as well, based on the criteria that we all agreed made for an amazing haunted house. We also took a full tour through the tribute store, which was a personal highlight for me. We tried some of the signature foods and drinks and explored the scare zones. So if this is something you'd like to see, keep watching and stick around to the end for a very special review of one of the signature haunted houses. Obviously, we can't film in any of the houses, but I do have some still shots from different posts that were related that I will have linked below, and from some of our other favorite vloggers who have been able to go in during media day and give their full review on video of these different houses. So the first one that we visited was Hellblock Horror. The description states, as these monsters escape their prison, there's no escape for you. Enter a prison whose savage inmates are monstrous creatures. If they break free from their cells, it's a death sentence for everyone. With one house down and under our belts, we were ready to take a little bit of a breather as we were still waiting for the rest of our kids' friends to arrive. So they were decompressing and we were figuring out what we should do next. We checked out the first scare zone, which is the major Sweets Revenge area, and it was neat to see it in the daylight. It looks even better at night. Then we navigated over and made our way to the next house that we knew that we would be visiting once the rest of our group arrived. And we were all excited for this next house, Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake, described as You're Dead in the Water. In a New England fishing village, undead fishermen emerge from the waves to seek their revenge. You and your Scream Squad may have escaped their hooks in the scare zone, but now they'll reel you in and drag you under. From there, we excitedly made our way over to our next house, Fiesta de Chupacabra, visiting a Latin American village where the legend of the creature Chupacabra is celebrated with a colorful fiesta, and the streets are lined with the crimson blood of tourists like you and your amigos. After that frightful fiesta, we took a small stroll through the crowds over to our next house, Bugs Eaten Alive. While touring a 1950s home of the future, you'll be surrounded by the slime of bugs everywhere as hordes of many-legged terrors descend upon you and your Scream Squad. You'll be dropping like flies. And although I'm not quite sure how this happened, after we got out of there, we were ready to kind of check out the food and drinks, as odd as that seems. We looked at all of the different offerings on that side of the park and saw some interesting things like the Christmas tree. We also checked out some of the offerings for Halloween Horror Nights, some of the special food and drinks, and got a good idea of what it is that we would definitely want to be munching on very shortly. Now, I already had a pretty good idea of the things that I really wanted to try based on some of the other videos that I had seen. And I knew that I needed to try this Lacto Cooler from Voodoo Brewing Company, as well as the Twisted Taters. We tried the garlic parmesan and the sour cream and chive. They're both really great. From there, we headed over to one of the most anticipated haunted houses I was waiting for, Universal Monsters Legends Collide. If you thought one Universal monster was scary, how about 3? Summon your Scream Squad, because you're about to get caught in the middle of an epic battle between the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy together for the first time ever. Their mission to find the amulet that will break their curse, and they'll destroy anyone who gets in their way. Fun fact, this house is very special because every night there's a different victor that comes out in the battle between the 3 legendary Universal monsters. Following the Legends house, we took a stroll through the scare zones and checked out all of the incredible decor and the props. It looks like it was an old parade, a Halloween parade that had gone terribly wrong. We took a closer look at all of the incredible decorations that were within the scare zone. This was still Sweet's Revenge. We do have footage of some of the other ones, but they were so dark that a lot of the video just didn't come out as well as these did. But these were really fun to see. There was an incredible amount of detail and a lot of interaction with the different scare actors. And so we got to really get up close and personal and look at some of these things. The artistry is absolutely incredible. I love all the attention to detail. And then after that, we knew that this was the time, as many of the haunted houses had really long lines. We figured that this was about the best time that we could go and check out the tribute store. A lot of times the tribute store has a really long line as well. And it was something that I was hoping that we would be able to see before Horror Nights began. But because we couldn't get in for the Stay and Scream, we had to wait. But as they say, this was definitely worth the wait, as I was so excited to see this. So the tribute store is more than just a retail shop. It's really its own attraction. And this year it was set up to look like a vintage ride, that when you walked in, you would look at the floor and it looked like there was a track on the floor where a ride would take you through this. Granted, it was still just a walkthrough, but it made you feel like you were supposed to be on an old ride. And within all of the decor that was set up, they had all of the different merch that you could purchase for this year. They had really great t-shirts and glassware, tumblers. There were also signature items such as purses, licensed items, vintage metal signs, stickers, practically anything you could think of. Many times they have limited edition in their designs for their t-shirts and spirit jerseys, and those usually sell out very quickly, and then they'll bring out another version near the end of Horror Nights so that people can come back and get that other new style. Little Boo was obviously a huge success last year, and so they brought him back this year and made him one of the signature characters. As we moved along through the tribute store, the ambiance changed and we were taken into a cemetery setting. And a lot of the really neat setups that they have in these different areas are Easter eggs kind of from years past of the different scare zones that maybe they used to have, or some of the other signature houses that they used to have in years past. So it's really great for Horror Night fans to come back and see some of these different decor pieces and these different setups that they will reuse in the tribute stores. You can see here that they have some of the great masks for either Dia de los Muertos, or they had some of these really great masks. You could purchase these. Some of them were quite pricey, but for some big fans, they were really worth it. And this was the display that was for the weekend haunted house. The weekend theme haunted house was a huge attraction this year at Halloween Horror Nights, so it was neat to see some of the merchandise from that, although it was very limited just due to licensing. But it was really great to move through this area. I really enjoyed it. It was fun, it was spooky, and it was really a harken back to old vintage Halloween of what some of the old traditional haunted houses would have looked like. Then we moved through the memorial area where a lot of our favorite vloggers are also featured on there. People can get their faces put on plaques every year for a memorial during Halloween Horror Nights. Then we moved into the area that I could explain as being like very Harry Potter, witch, It was a really, really cool vibe in there. This is where they had a lot of the amazing snacks and treats. I really wanted to get one of those little boot cakes, and I was planning to wait for my daughter so we could go back in together, and of course we never did. So, moral of the story here is don't wait for anybody else. Just get it for yourself if that's what you really want to do, because it won't last, or you'll never get a chance to go back and get it again. And then in this area, they had still more merch, different t-shirts, different tumblers, stickers. The candles were really, really amazing. I wanted to buy some, but I just didn't want to carry them around with me through the haunted houses for the rest of the night, so I decided to pass on it. They had really cool socks. We enjoyed seeing a lot of the different merchandise that went along with many of the different theme houses that year. This was really just more for us to take in all of the different sites. I absolutely love all of the attention to detail in here. It is so fun, and obviously it gives me great ideas of what I could do on obviously a much smaller scale, but in my home or for my own Halloween decor. Coming up to the end of the tribute store, there were quite a few other little stands where you could purchase food and drinks. I wasn't sure if these were different unique items that we couldn't get outside of the tribute store, but we really didn't wait in the lines for those because we had to get back. We wanted to get in more of the haunted houses, but it was really neat that they really have everything in this tribute store that you could really hope to find throughout the entirety of the park. And then this little display that is set up right before you leave the tribute store is meant to look like it could have been a little store, the Erie Emporium. I absolutely loved so many of the little pieces in here. I wish that we could have bought them. Some of them were Easter eggs and throwbacks to years before. I believe you can still buy this. It's not really a record anymore, but you could get a playlist. They used to sell them as CDs, I believe. Out here, they had the Frankenstein electric chair that used to be outside of the Universal Monsters Cafe, which now unfortunately is closed. So it was really nice to see them using that iconic prop for this event especially. We continued to make our way through the massive crowds, walking into all of the creepy, scary characters and checking out the sights again. We tried to make our way over to the other side of the park, which proved to take a lot longer than we initially anticipated, just due to the amounts of people there. We caught a little bit of the stage show that was going on in one of the other scare zones, and that was really cool to see. The costumes were really incredible, and people really seemed to be enjoying that. We did see the fun Chucky photo op display again. They had that last year and they brought it back. Then we headed over to the weekend. My husband and I knew that this was going to be one of the must-do houses for especially all the kids that we were with. It was really a lot of fun because it was really like being at a concert while you waited in this massively long line. Due to copyright reasons, obviously I can't play the music here just in case, but you can probably get the hint as to what song this was. It goes something like blah, 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 over and over again. And it doesn't end once you get in the house, because if you love his music, but can you survive his mind? The weekend is all about going through this haunted house in a surreal living nightmare from his after-hours videos. From there, we hustled over to our next house, The Horrors of Blumhouse. Twice the screams, twice the terrors. This was a twofer. Get ready for a blood-curdling new double feature of Blumhouse horror as your Scream Squad faces a ruthless serial killer in Freaky and an evil kidnapper in the relentlessly terrifying Black Phone. This one, you'll want to wait around for the end, because our group definitely had a memorable time in this house. Then we shuffled our way through what seemed like eternal darkness in this scare zone. There was a lot of really great things that were happening in this area, but it was so damn dark that it was virtually impossible for me to really get good footage for you guys, but I wanted to share a little bit anyway. It was really well done. I just wish it would have been better lit. Granted, this was already about 1 in the morning. Our final house of the night was none other than Halloween. His beginning is your end. Silent, merciless, relentless, there's nobody like Michael Myers. And if your Scream Squad is ready, this year you can gather together and face the terror of Halloween from the very beginning. After surviving Michael Myers, it was clearly time to go home. The park was officially closed and all of the haunted houses had been closed down for quite some time. So we were making our way to the main gates, and along the way, obviously some of the scare actors were still having a really great time with everyone that was leaving for the night. With that, it's time to rate our favorite haunted houses of the night. We came up with criteria as a full group based on certain things that we thought were really important. The rating scale was overall theme, jump scares, smells, set design, and overall scariness. Many of these houses have all of those elements, and some didn't have those at all, so our ratings were varying based on those criteria. The first house was Hell Block Horror. Overall theme, 5 out of 10. It's things that we've seen already. It wasn't really unique, but there were a lot of jump scares, 8 out of 10. There were no smells that I could tell, which is probably good. And the set design was pretty just meh, because we've seen it already in many other places. And we have Dead Man's PIER, Winter's Wake. This one was definitely a contender because the overall theme was absolutely incredible. Jump scares, not so much, but it was visually amazing. The smell was incredible. They said the smell was supposed to be like the ocean. The set design was absolutely over the top, incredible, but the overall scariness wasn't there. Then we have Chupacabra. This one was interesting because it had a lot of different puppets in it that, like the Chupacabra puppets, were kind of scary. So the theme was really unique. It was like you were in a Mexican village. Some of the jump scares were pretty cool. The smell was really great. Set design was pretty neat, but it wasn't as scary as some of the other ones. Then we have the Legends Collide Universal Monsters house. Everybody loved this house. The set was unbelievable. I believe all of the girls fell down from being so scared from all of the monsters, the werewolves, the mummies, the vampires. It smelled amazing. The set design was just unbelievable. Great house. Bugs Eaten Alive, I love the idea behind it, the theming of a 1950s house and everything just goes wrong. And it had kind of that campiness. It was still scary and kind of gross. If you're afraid of bugs, this definitely would have terrified you. And it smelled like pine in there, which was supposed to be part of the fresh scent of the bug killer. The weekend was interesting and had a really cool mirrored maze. Of course, it played the music all the way through. It was kind of like you were in a nightclub and then you were in his nightmares of him having like plastic surgery. So some of it was kind of creepy and weird, but overall it was a lot of fun, not very scary. Then we come to the Blumhouse houses, which are 2 in 1. The overall theming was pretty great. If you've seen the movies, you're already kind of familiar. Although Black Phone was somewhat repetitive in what it was showing you in the house, it was absolutely terrifying. And if you stick around till the very end, you will get some bonus clip of why this was so funny. I laughed the whole way through this because my daughter was terrified. And of course, Halloween. Most of the kids that we were with have never even seen any of the Halloween movies, so it was kind of lost on them. But some of the set was neat. It actually took you like outside of Michael Myers' house and when he was young, and you walked through these scenes through all of the movies through the duration of the franchise. So that was kind of cool. But other than that, it's been done so much and it's been seen so often that we weren't really overly impressed by it. And of course, just due to the timing of the day, we weren't able to make it through Spirits of the Coven house or the other one, which was the Descendants of Destruction. But from what I've seen from other people, they really weren't that good anyway, so I don't feel like I missed much.
The following audio clip was accidentally captured when an unknowing 17-year-old girl forgot to turn off her camera out of sheer anxiety of entering this next haunted house. She shoved her phone in her shirt for safekeeping in case she needed to flee the terror before her. The fear you hear is real. The expletives are hilarious, and this moment now lives in Halloween infamy as we try to survive the Black Phone.
No. Oh! Oh my God! Please don't do it again! No, why are we stopping? Oh! No, what the hell is this? I'm so scared! No! No, Mom! No!
Thanks for watching, you guys. Hey, if you enjoyed this, please like this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your friends so that we can continue to share all of our fun times with you. We'll see you next time.